The sun crept reluctantly over the horizon on January 2nd, 2025, casting a cold, pale light over Warren, Michigan. Ashley Meadows, with her auburn hair tucked under a woolen cap, made her way through the crisp winter air to Marcus Kane's apartment. The morning was quiet, almost serene, belying the turmoil that lurked beneath the surface. As she stepped into Marcus's dimly lit apartment, the familiar scent of pine air freshener mixed with stale cigarette smoke greeted her. Ashley smiled warmly, but Marcus's eyes were already shadowed by something unsaid. Their relationship had always been a complex tapestry of affection and underlying tension. "Hey," Ashley said softly, pulling off her gloves and scarf. Marcus nodded, his gaze lingering on her longer than necessary. She sensed his mood was already shifting. "You're here early," Marcus remarked, his tone teetering between surprise and suspicion. "I thought we could spend some time together before I leave for my trip next week," Ashley replied, trying to sound cheerful. Marcus's expression hardened. "You're really going? Your parents are okay with it?" "They're worried," Ashley admitted, "but I'll be fine." A silence stretched between them. Marcus turned away, fiddling with his phone as if searching for an escape from the conversation. Ashley felt a pang of unease. These moments of withdrawal were becoming more frequent. Inside the apartment, the tension was palpable. Marcus had been edgy lately, more possessive than usual. As they sat together on the worn couch, he asked probing questions about her plans and who she'd be with. Ashley hesitated before answering each question, aware that her responses seemed to weigh heavily on him. It wasn't long before she noticed a crumpled note peeking out from his jacket pocket, draped over a chair. Curiosity piqued. She retrieved it when Marcus left the room momentarily. The note was brief but ominous. "We need to talk about what happened." Her heart skipped a beat as she recalled their last argument, one that ended unresolved. When Marcus returned and saw her holding the note, he shrugged dismissively. "Just some drama with work," he muttered, though Ashley wasn't convinced. Her unease grew as Marcus brushed off her concerns. She decided it was time to leave before things escalated further. However, as she approached the door, uncertainty gnawed at her gut. She sensed an invisible wall between them. Something was amiss, but unspoken. Standing at the threshold of his apartment building, Ashley paused when her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Be careful." She frowned and glanced back at Marcus's silhouette against the dim hallway light. He showed no sign of noticing or caring about the message. Ashley tucked the phone away and stepped outside into the frosty morning air. Her breath formed small clouds as she walked to her car parked down the street. Each step felt heavy with dread she couldn't quite place, an ominous weight that refused to lift. Before opening her car door, she looked back one last time at Marcus's window. The blinds were drawn tightly shut now. Nothing but a shadowy figure moved behind them. As Ashley drove away from Marcus's apartment that morning, an unsettling feeling lingered, a sense that this ordinary visit might not have been so ordinary after all. Unbeknownst to her family waiting at home or detectives who would soon be involved, this departure marked not just an end, but a haunting beginning. In this chilling moment of departure lies a mystery yet unresolved, a thread that will unravel in ways neither Ashley nor those around her could have foreseen. The Meadows family home was usually a bustling hub of warmth and love, but on January 3rd, 2025, a chilling silence settled over the household. Ashley's absence was like an unspoken presence, heavy and inescapable. Her mother, Claire, restlessly paced the hallway. Every few minutes, she checked her phone, hoping for a message or call. Her father, Tom, sat by the window, staring at the street as if willing Ashley to appear. But as hours ticked by with no sign of their daughter, the family's concern escalated into panic. It was Ashley's friend, Lisa, who first voiced what they all feared. "She mentioned she was visiting Marcus yesterday," Lisa said hesitantly when she called Claire to check in. Claire's heart sank at the mention of Marcus. She knew their relationship had its ups and downs, filled with affection but also tension. "What did she say about him?" Claire pressed. "Just that things were complicated," Lisa replied. This revelation amplified their fears. With emotions running high, the family decided there was no time to waste. They contacted the police to report Ashley missing. Detective Riley sat at his cluttered desk at the Warren Police Station, reviewing the initial report on Ashley Meadows' disappearance. The details were sparse but troubling. A young woman vanished after visiting her boyfriend under seemingly normal circumstances. Riley knew time was of the essence in missing person cases. He gathered his team for a briefing, outlining their first steps: verify Ashley's last known whereabouts and speak to Marcus Kane. As they delved into phone records, one fact stood out. Ashley's last known location was indeed Marcus's apartment. Marcus was called in for questioning. Initially defensive and evasive, he provided a series of inconsistent accounts about Ashley's visit. "We argued about her trip," he admitted reluctantly. "But she left on her own." Riley noted his shifting eyes and nervous gestures. Classic signs of someone hiding something. Despite Marcus's resistance, Riley needed more than gut feelings to move forward decisively. The phone records provided enough grounds to dig deeper into Marcus's version of events and his involvement in Ashley's sudden disappearance. The investigation expanded into Marcus's neighborhood as detectives began canvassing for leads on Ashley's last movements. They knocked on doors and spoke with residents who might have seen something, anything, on that fateful morning. Some neighbors recalled seeing Ashley's car parked unusually far from Marcus's apartment, an odd detail that seemed out of place if she intended only a quick visit. Others mentioned hearing raised voices coming from Marcus's apartment earlier that day. These conflicting accounts only compounded suspicions surrounding Marcus's narrative. Riley felt the puzzle pieces shifting but not yet fitting together. Prompted by these new leads, Riley directed his team to inspect the area where Ashley's car had been seen parked, a move that could either unravel new truths or deepen the mystery further. As detectives approached the spot where neighbors claimed to have seen Ashley's car last, an eerie feeling settled over them, a sense of walking into a space touched by hidden truths waiting to surface. In that moment of high tension and uncertainty, an officer called out from behind a row of parked cars. "Detective, you might want to see this." Riley hurried over. The officer pointed to something partially buried beneath the snow, a piece of fabric protruding from under one of the vehicles. It was unmistakably part of a scarf Claire had described vividly during their initial report about what Ashley was wearing when last seen. As Riley bent down for a closer look, an unsettling thought crossed his mind. Was this just another clue in an intricate game unfolding before them? Or worse, was it evidence marking something hidden beneath its innocent appearance? The discovery left them on the edge of revelation or despair, a precarious cliffhanger that promised either clarity or deeper shadows, yet untold. Detective Riley stood in the interrogation room, his eyes fixed on Marcus Kane, who sat across from him with an air of uncomfortable defiance. The room was stark, with nothing but the clicking of a clock to punctuate the silence. Marcus shifted in his seat, avoiding Riley's piercing gaze. "Let's go over your last interaction with Ashley once more," Detective Riley began, flipping through his notes. "What time did she leave your apartment that morning?" Marcus hesitated. "I told you she left around noon." "Yet your neighbor didn't see her car after 10, Riley countered, leaning forward. "That's a 2-hour gap. Where was she?" Marcus's expression hardened. "I don't know. Maybe she drove somewhere else." Riley noted the inconsistency. Marcus's accounts were riddled with these discrepancies, gaps that suggested more than he let on. The detective's instinct screamed cover-up. "We need to follow up on these contradictions," Riley said to his partner as they exited the room. "Secure a search warrant for his apartment. We need concrete evidence." With the warrant secured swiftly, they moved to Marcus's apartment. Inside Marcus's apartment, Riley and his team sifted through belongings and digital devices for any hidden truths about Ashley's disappearance. They opened drawers and sifted through files. "Detective," called Officer Lane from the desk where a laptop sat open but locked. "We've got something." Riley peered over Lane's shoulder at the threatening email displayed on the monitor. "You can't just walk away," it read ominously, signed by Marcus. This chilling discovery painted a picture of prior conflict, one that suggested Ashley might have been threatened into silence or worse. This changes everything, Riley muttered, his mind racing with possibilities. Let's focus on his digital records. There might be more here than meets the eye. They transported the devices to the forensic lab, where IT specialists worked to decrypt files that might hold further insight into Ashley's fate. The process was slow and arduous. Some files were heavily encrypted and required delicate handling. Hours later, one of the specialists called Riley over excitedly. "We've cracked it," he said, gesturing to a string of decrypted emails. Riley scanned the messages quickly. Ashley had planned to end their relationship, a revelation that would have undoubtedly fueled Marcus's possessiveness. "This gives us motive," Riley said, feeling both vindicated and grim. "But we need more than motive. We need physical evidence to tie this all together." He knew this revelation was crucial but incomplete without tangible proof linking Marcus directly to any wrongdoing. They returned to Marcus's apartment the next day with renewed purpose. In their previous search, they had overlooked some storage boxes stacked in a dim corner of his bedroom closet. Riley approached them cautiously now, pulling each one out methodically until something caught his eye, a notebook wedged between the boxes and wall. He opened it carefully and flipped through pages filled with erratic handwriting and scribbles. Some entries dated back weeks before Ashley's disappearance, angry rants that spoke of betrayal and vengeance. As Riley processed this unsettling find, a thought occurred. What if there was more hidden amongst these ordinary possessions? The room seemed to grow colder as he pondered what could still be lurking undiscovered. A chilling reminder that beneath mundane surfaces lay layers of darkness yet unexplored. Just then, another officer entered breathlessly, holding a small item bagged as evidence, a keychain that matched one described by Ashley's mother during their initial report. The discovery sent a jolt through Riley, a connection finally forming between scattered clues. Yet even as he held this piece of evidence in hand, an ominous question loomed large. What had really happened after Ashley left that fateful morning? The answer seemed just beyond reach, a haunting specter waiting in shadows for its inevitable revelation. Detective Riley's heart pounded as he clutched the keychain, a small but significant breakthrough. The team gathered in the precinct's briefing room, the air heavy with anticipation. "We need to move on the dumpster," Riley directed, his voice firm. "There's more to find there." Arriving at Marcus's apartment complex, the detectives were met with skepticism from neighbors and the building manager. "Why all this fuss over a dumpster?" one resident scoffed. "Because every piece counts," Riley replied, undeterred by doubt. The team donned gloves and masks before meticulously sifting through the contents. Amidst the refuse, something caught Officer Lane's eye, a small stained fabric swatch. Riley examined it closely. "Get this to the lab," he ordered. As they continued, another officer found strands of hair tangled in duct tape, a chilling confirmation that this trash held secrets. The forensic team worked swiftly, extracting trace biological evidence. Preliminary tests hinted at a match with Ashley's DNA. "This changes everything," Riley declared, urgency rising in his voice. With newfound determination, they directed their efforts toward a local landfill where Marcus's building disposed of waste. The landfill stretched vast and daunting under a gray sky. Riley coordinated with the search team, knowing time was crucial. "We have to be methodical," he instructed, aware of the logistical challenges. Hours passed as they combed through heaps of garbage. Then, amidst the chaos, a glint caught Detective Harris's attention, a bracelet half buried in debris. "This matches Ashley's description," Harris confirmed after a tense comparison with Claire's report. The discovery electrified the team, galvanizing their resolve. It was undeniable evidence that linked Marcus to Ashley's last known whereabouts. Back in the forensic lab, analysts worked against the clock. Riley watched anxiously as technicians processed each piece of evidence. "Degradation is a concern," one technician warned. "We need these results fast." Finally, confirmation arrived. Ashley's blood was found on multiple items recovered from Marcus's dumpster, irrefutable evidence of foul play. Riley felt both vindicated and haunted by their findings as he prepared to move forward with charges against Marcus. But even in this moment of triumph, a lingering dread hung over him. It wasn't over until justice was served. The case had reached a critical junction. Every piece now pointed towards Marcus Kane as responsible for Ashley's disappearance and presumed murder. As Riley drafted his report for the district attorney, a sense of closure seemed near, yet he couldn't shake the feeling that something remained amiss. Just then, an officer rushed in, breathless with news. "Detective, we've just received an anonymous tip. Someone saw Marcus's car near another location on the day Ashley vanished." Riley froze, mind racing with possibilities. Could there be more to this story than they knew? Was there another layer yet undiscovered? The revelation hit like a cold wave, an unsettling cliffhanger that promised more twists ahead in this haunting saga. The news of Marcus Kane's arrest sent ripples through Warren, Michigan, as residents grappled with the grim details surfacing from the investigation. Conversations buzzed in cafes and on street corners about the man they thought they knew. Many struggled to reconcile Marcus's charming demeanor with the chilling accusations leveled against him. Questions arose about missed warning signs. Marcus's emotional instability, once whispered about, now seemed glaringly obvious in hindsight. As community members exchanged stories, a shared sense of responsibility emerged. Neighbors recalled moments that in isolation seemed insignificant, but collectively painted a darker picture. The community's discourse shifted toward prevention and awareness, recognizing the need to understand such signs better to prevent future tragedies. This collective introspection set the stage for the next phase, the courtroom proceedings. At the Macomb County Court, the indictment hearing was tense with anticipation. Marcus sat with his defense team, his face a mask of stoic defiance. The prosecution laid out their case meticulously, presenting a timeline that tightly aligned Marcus to Ashley's disappearance and presumed murder. "We have evidence corroborating Marcus Kane's presence at critical locations on January 2nd, the prosecutor declared, displaying phone records and surveillance footage. The defense countered aggressively, arguing that the evidence was circumstantial and lacked direct proof of guilt. Marcus's lawyer challenged each point, demanding more concrete connections than what was presented. Proximity doesn't equal culpability, he argued, casting doubt on the prosecution's narrative. Despite these challenges, the prosecution pressed on, unveiling additional findings from forensic analyses that linked Marcus to Ashley's last known whereabouts through both digital footprints and physical evidence recovered from his apartment and dumpster. As testimonies from experts highlighted inconsistencies in Marcus's statements and emphasized the forensic ties to Ashley's belongings, emotions ran high both in the court and within the community, observing this dramatic unfolding of justice. With tensions peaking, the hearing concluded with enough evidence to proceed to trial, a decision that sent waves across Warren once more. The community braced for what promised to be an emotional journey seeking truth and closure for Ashley's family. The culmination of this harrowing case took place at Ashley Meadows' memorial service. Held at a local church overflowing with mourners, it was a somber reminder of her vibrant life cut short. Her family stood united in grief as they addressed those gathered. Ashley's mother, Claire, delivered a heartfelt eulogy that resonated deeply with everyone present. Ashley was more than her tragic end, she said through tears. Her light touched everyone she met. But let us not forget the warning signs her story teaches us about domestic violence. Her words underscored a crucial message. Dialogue and awareness are vital to preventing such tragedies. As friends and family shared memories of Ashley's kindness and zest for life, there was a palpable shift toward healing, a collective vow to honor her memory by fostering understanding and support within their community. Yet even as closure seemed within reach for many, Detective Riley couldn't shake an unsettling feeling, an instinct that perhaps not every stone had been turned over in their pursuit of justice. As he watched candles flicker in remembrance at the service's end, one thought lingered stubbornly. Did they uncover all there was to know about Ashley's final day? The question hung like mist over Warren, a haunting specter promising further reflection on truth and consequence long after this chapter closed.